Welcome to the very first episode of the Good Samaritan podcast, hosted by me, Dr. Monique A. Lynch, a mental health specialist, author, entrepreneur, educator, aspiring politician, and youth ambassador. Now, I am from Jamaica, a little island of paradise surrounded by the Caribbean Sea. I grew up in a inner city community where no one really expected greatness, but I used my experiences and that of others to shape who I am today. And despite the many difficulties, unfortunate circumstances, the unbelievable successes, and the heart-wrenching failures of the past to get where I am today, positivity remains one of my deepest core values, and one in which I am very intentional about sharing with every soul that I encounter. So thank you for tuning in today. Happy New Year, and I hope that 2022 is going to be the best year for each and every one of us. Now, I'm going to share a story. So when I started my first real job, and this was at probably the age of 27, the first thing I had in mind was to buy a car. And I know many persons can relate, especially coming out of grad school or you're coming out of even bachelor's, your first degree. Your first thing in mind, was to buy a car. And I remember I spent months searching cars and checking auto dealers and looking at the bank interest rates. And at the end of the day, I didn't even have a driver's license. And yeah, it's funny because I'm doing all of that and it didn't occur to me that I needed to get that first. And that's how it is when we attempt to do too many things at one time. So if I should title this episode, I would say one step at a time. So what did I learn from attempting to do all at once? One, we set up ourselves to be disappointed because we jump steps. We attempt to do too many things at once without processing all the information at hand and even the facts. Two, we get discouraged because things often don't go our way. They don't work out as planned. But in fact, we fail because we didn't plan properly. So it's not that things shouldn't have worked out. It's that it didn't work out because we didn't plan properly. And then we get discouraged when things fail because we think things are not working for us, but in fact, we are the guilty ones. We didn't plan properly. Three, we experience commitment issues because we start things and then we fail to finish them. And I am very guilty of this one. There are so many things. Many times we have these good ideas and there are so many things that we want to achieve. And nothing is wrong with being progressive. Nothing is wrong with, go hard or go home. That attitude is great. But at the same time, there's a lot that goes with that kind of mindset. A lot of planning goes with that. A lot of processing goes with that. And for me, I think even with this podcast, I started last year and I had a vision for where I saw it going, and I couldn't maintain it because I was juggling too many things at the same time, and then somehow this thing that I really wanted to do got pushed on the back burner because I was burnt out. And the thing is that we develop these commitment issues because we attempt too many things at one time. We want to take 50 steps at one time. And I know as a baby, there's a order of things. You sit up first, then you start to crawl, then you kind of hold on to things and move before we start walking. And a lot of us, we attempt things, we just want to just hit the track running. Nah, it doesn't go like that. And that has been like the story of my life, really. I attempt things and I don't complete them. And it's not because I don't have passion. I don't lack passion. I don't lack purpose. But I really haven't really assessed all of my ideas before attempting to do all of them. 4, it affects our productivity. You know, we get busy, but we're not productive. And 5, we lack focus because there's too many things to focus on. And sometimes the things that we really need to start, or the things that we really need to put emphasis on, we don't, because we're chasing something else every month. Every month there is something else that you're chasing. So we don't learn to stick things through. We don't learn to just hold on and ride things through. And there's nothing wrong with having these crazy ideas or having a lot of business ventures that you want to go in, but take them one at a time. You know, build and then branch out. And that was like a major lesson for me in 2021. You know, just coming into 2022, my headspace is a little bit clearer. And that is because I now realize the mistakes that I was making in the past. And then 6, in the end, you lose money. So we spend all this time trying to do so many things, because one of the ultimate things is, yes, to earn an income, to have different avenues of income. So we attack so many different things trying to get that one thing, money, and in the end we lose it because we didn't take it one step at a time. Now, one step at a time can change your life. As in, one step at a time, you can go from being average to being great. Every day, I want to encourage you to do something in relation to your goals. So for me, what worked was to have a list. So I do a vision board of all the major goals that I want to achieve. And then I do a linkage, because sometimes one goal can lead to the other, but we attempt everything and then everything fails. So I do a linkage to see, okay, if I do goal 1 first, it's easy for me to transition into goal 2. But then under each big goal, I have like small actionable steps. So for example, and I'm just using the car, I knew, okay, I wanted a car. So 1, I needed to apply for my learners, take driving lessons, then do my driving test. Then based on the kind of car that I was researching, then I need to know what is the price range. Then based on that, in terms of which bank I was going to, I need to know that, I need to save this deposit because I need this money before going to the bank. Also, I need to know what the insurance will be like, the registration will be like, the fitness of the vehicle. So all costs associated with the vehicle, I need to ensure that I had that money in my hand before attempting to get a car loan, or if I was buying the car cash, how much money would I need? I also need to budget my income to see if buying a car is the best thing for me now. And I know sometimes, especially us as young people, when we want something, we don't really take the time to consider everything else that we have to do. And sometimes things that we put as priority are sometimes really not priority. Because me now at 31, looking at myself at 27, a car probably wasn't the best thing for me to do. I still had student loans I needed to clear, and I still had other things I could have started my investment portfolio from that time. So there are things that I made mistakes in the beginning, which I eventually learned later, but I could have avoided those things. So you have to take in account all things. So after I do those big goals and I make the actionable steps under each, I prioritize. Okay, for this quarter of the year, which goals will I be looking at? So you have to ensure that you're being smart. You're working smarter, you're not working harder. So based on which goals I've selected for the quarter, then I work and I look at the actionable steps. If I do one actionable step out of, say, a possible 5, and I do 1 per week, in 5 weeks I've hit that major goal. So sometimes it's not about, attacking and doing everything at once and multitasking. Sometimes it's really just taking your time and taking one step. Put one foot before the other. And this teaches us, patience. This teaches us endurance. It also teaches us faith that, we don't know what's ahead, but we're working towards it. And this, I promise you, will make your life a little bit less stressful. I also keep a journal just to ensure that I'm on target. I do timelines for my actionable steps. So take a different approach to things instead of trying to do too many things at one time. One step at a time is enough. One step at a time is enough. And I don't know who this is for. I know sometimes we tend to want to compare our lives to other persons, and they're out there crushing it and they're doing it, and sometimes that makes us feel small and feel inadequate that we're not doing things. But everyone has a path for themselves. Trust me, stay in your lane, focus on your race. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to finish it. There's no expectation on that. And sometimes we're caught up in, we want to do this before a certain age, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And then we feel disappointed in the end when it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying don't have an expectation for your life or set timelines or to be specific with what you want and in the time frame that you want it, but leave room for the unexpected. I know a lot of persons, we weren't expecting COVID. We weren't expecting COVID. We weren't expecting our lives to be turned upside down. There was a lot of uncertainties that came with COVID that we weren't prepared for. But guess what? This is life. You will always encounter the uncertainty. So in your planning and in your going hard and going home and hunting the money, just keep that in mind, that you should always leave room for uncertainty or the unexpected. So yeah, you didn't get the car at this age, but you worked and you saved and you got it at another age. It's still an achievement. The fact is that you achieved the goal. It doesn't matter how long it takes you, achieving the goal is the prize. So I hope that, you would have grabbed something from this. I'm really trying to make these light and easy. We'll build as we go along. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself. But, I'm applying the same lessons that I've learned. Because you see, this thing with life, it's a journey. It never ends. And sometimes we learn a lesson and, the pressures of life, we forget. And we're thrown back into the same situation because we needed to really grasp what the lesson was about. So as I am sharing, I'm applying it to my life as well. So that's it for this episode. Join me next week as we look at the topic right timing. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Good Samaritan. The Good Samaritan. no strings attached. Please remember to leave your comments. Please share this podcast to your friends, to your family. Please follow me on all socials. There's a link to my website. Please follow. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless.